The biggest thing you need to know about RVing is it is about freedom, but it is structured freedom. It's not if burnout's gonna happen, it's when. Health insurance is a struggle, but I think I finally found a solution. But here's my tip for you, and it's super important to know this. Do not get a P.O. box. Back in 2019, before we hit the road full-time RVing, I thought I had it all figured out. I researched RV types, downloaded every app, mapped out routes, and built a detailed budget. But after 6 years on the road, I realized something surprising. Most of what people warn you about doesn't matter nearly as much as what they don't tell you. And those are the things that cost us the most money, stress, and some frustration. Now, we're only going to scratch the surface on these topics today. In the coming weeks, I'll be launching an RVing for Beginners series where I'll dive deeper into each one of these topics. But if you're thinking about RV life today, these are some of the things that I wish that I had known. RV life promises the one thing so many people spend their lives chasing, and that's freedom. Waking up to new views, wildlife outside the window, a river one week, a desert canyon the next. For me, it also meant bringing my knitting and crochet with me everywhere I go, working and creating in places I never thought possible. That freedom was powerful enough for us to sell almost everything that we owned and hit the road. But after 6 years on the road, I've learned the dream is real, but it's not the full story. So if you're overwhelmed and don't know where to start, this video is for you. As I mentioned, I am going to go deeper into each of these topics, but to start, you need to make sure you choose the right rig. And that is pretty overwhelming. But once you can answer these 3 questions, it's going to get you on the right path to finding that perfect rig for you. And the first of those 3 questions is, what does your daily life look like? Make a list, but keep it short, of what those absolute non-negotiables are. I'm not talking about the things that would be nice to have. I'm talking about the things that are going to make your life miserable if you have, or make your life miserable if you don't have. Really briefly, ours were a walk-around bed. I am not getting climbed on or climbing over someone in the middle of the night. It's just not gonna happen. So we had to have that walk-around bed. Finny had to have a place to be able to do her business where it was out of the way and we didn't have a litter box sitting in the middle of our RV. We needed to make sure we had a comfortable place to sit and knit and watch TV, or my husband likes to play video games and watch TV. And you would be shocked to know how many RV dealers try to sell us on the idea of, it's not that bad to sit and look sideways. It is. Don't let those RV dealers talk you out of your non-negotiables. And the last was, I wanted a place for my dad to be able to install a washer dryer. I wanted to be in a 22 foot, but we ended up having to move up to a 26 foot just to be able to fit that last non-negotiable. So make that list, make it really solid, and really stick to it. And remember that floor plans are always more important than the brand. You need a floor plan that works for you. At the end of the day, the brand isn't really gonna matter that much. Question number 2 is, what kind of RVer are you going to be? And this is an important one for you to figure out and really be honest with yourself. Are you gonna be full-time, part-time, seasonal, a weekend warrior, a vacation holidayer? You need to decide what kind of RVer you're going to be, because there's a lot of luxuries that you can live without for a weekend versus a full-time living in it every single day. And number 3 is, what type of rig fits the lifestyle that you want? This is a really big topic. I am gonna do a full video on choosing the right rig, but you need to decide if you're gonna do a van, a Class A, a Class C, a travel trailer, a fifth wheeler. There's not a million options. There's a million floor plans, but there's not a million options. And so you need to decide which type of rig that you wanna have. For us, I didn't wanna pay the insurance or deal with the maintenance of 2 engines. So that's why we did the tow behind rather than like a Class A or Class C. But we also didn't want a fifth wheeler because we wanted to be able to put a UTV up on the bed of our truck. And so for us, that was our decision. A tow behind or a travel trailer was what was gonna work for us. So you really need to think about what your life's gonna be like, what you want your RV life to be like, and then start looking at the type of rig that fits that life. So those are the 3 questions. If you can get those answered, you are miles ahead of anyone else that's starting to think about getting an RV. But also notice that I didn't talk about budget. I'm not gonna talk about budget in this because the reality is you can buy a travel trailer for $10,000, or you could get an Airstream travel trailer for $250,000. You do need to keep that in mind because obviously your budget is important, but first answer those 3 questions and then you can start looking at the options within the category of rig that you're looking at. Most people think that bigger is better, but in RVs, that's not always the case. You need to make sure that you understand that the larger the rig, the more maintenance that it requires, the more things there are to break, the fewer campsite options you have, and the more expensive it's going to be in the overall scheme of things. So if you're a brand new beginner and budget is important, really consider going on the smaller side. There's always the opportunity to upgrade down the line, but you'd be kind of surprised at how little of a space you can live in. Smaller and simpler usually wins, especially if you're brand new to this. Next up is the money surprise, and wow, that has changed so drastically since we first hit the road in 2019. I used to be able to budget about $45 to $60 a night for an RV park, like nice RV parks. And now it's closer to $60 if I'm lucky, up to $125. It has gone up drastically. So you want to make sure that you research what type of RV parks you want to be in and what those costs are. You can stay in state parks for a lot cheaper. You don't tend to have amenities or hookups, so if that's important to you, you're going to want to make sure you budget more. I used to budget about $1,500 a month for RV parks, and now it's closer to $2,500. So it has gone up a lot. So make sure you look into that. And again, I am going to do a full video specifically on budgeting for RV parks, but for now, just know it's about $60 to $100 a night for RV parks. The other things that are going to cost you money, and all have gone up in price since 2019, are fuel, maintenance, entertainment, eating out. All of those things are going to cost money, and they have gotten way more expensive since we first hit the road. To be honest, in RV life, whatever you think your minimum budget is going to be, at least double it, possibly triple it. You are going to have expenses on the road. Some of those expenses are going to be expected, and some of them are unexpected, and you want to make sure that you do not get caught off guard. It took us a couple of years to stop being surprised at what things cost. So if there's RVers out there telling you that RV life is cheaper than home life, it's all relative. It depends on what kind of home life you have, what kind of luxuries you have. Don't think that RV life is this way cheaper option than having a home. It is expensive. It can be very expensive, but for us, it is still absolutely worth every penny. Next, let's talk about how travel actually works. I love the idea of just driving until you see something cool, pulling over, pulling into an RV park, parking for a few days, going exploring the area, and just living spontaneously. That sounds like an amazing dream. Unfortunately, it is just a dream. It's really not that easy to do if you are in a full RV. Now, van life is a little bit different. There's a lot more freedoms to that. But if you have an RV, you're gonna need to make sure that you're a little bit of a planner. Personally, I plan out our travels for the entire trip before we even leave. Now, I am a planner and I do really enjoy doing it, but I do have our entire route, RV campgrounds, all that mapped out before we even hit the road. And the truth to that is there's places that I wanna go that book up really fast. When we went to Florida a couple of years ago, I had to book those RV parks a year in advance because they would be completely sold out during the winters if I didn't book them up that far in advance. This year, I want to be in Colorado for the fall colors, and the places that we're going are very popular for leaf peeping, and so I had to book those up far in advance. So if you're willing to go to places that basically nobody else wants to go to, you can absolutely be spontaneous. But if you're going to want to go to any place anywhere near any national parks or big famous places, you're going to want to make sure you book in advance because they will fill up quickly, and you will be so dejected if you get there and you don't have a spot for the night and you've got to wander around in the dark trying to find a place to park. You also want to be real about how many miles you're willing to drive in a day. We have a rule, no more than 200 miles, and we do like to stay in places for about a week at a time. Anything faster really can lead to burnout, so keep that in mind. It's a great idea that you want to see all 5 Utah national parks in a week, but the truth is they each kind of need their own week, and you don't want to be doing that much driving and then trying to go out and adventure and enjoy your adventure. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind, is don't be driving too much. There's also a lot of memberships that are going to be tempting to buy into, but you don't want to do that until you've had some experience trying out different RV parks and what kind you like. We have the KOA membership as well as Passport America. We do tend to stay at a lot of KOA sites, where I'm at one right now. We like their campgrounds. We always know they're clean and safe and reliable, but we didn't find that those are the ones that we loved until after about the first year or two on the road. So don't be tempted by all the memberships. Try out some different campgrounds and decide what kind of campgrounds you're gonna like, and then you can start looking into those different memberships. You also might be wondering about boondocking. Our rig is fully set up to be able to boondock. We have boondocked quite a bit in our early years. We don't do it too much anymore because we just like the luxury and the comfort of being in a campground, but that's definitely an option. It's not free because you do have to make sure you have upgraded solar panels and water tanks and propane. There's a lot of things that you do need to make sure that you have. That's a whole nother subject that's going to be in my RVing for beginners, but you can boondock as well and give it a try. See if you like it. You might like it. It wasn't really for my husband. He enjoyed it a lot less than I did, but give it a try and see if that could possibly be an option for you to help you save a little bit of money. The biggest thing you need to know about RVing is it is about freedom, but it is structured freedom. It is not willy-nilly, wind in your hair, freedom every day. It is freedom, but it's structured freedom. So keep that in mind and keep your expectations in check. Next up is the maintenance reality. My favorite subject. If you take one thing and one thing only from this entire video, it's that maintenance is not occasional. Things don't break occasionally. It is constant. Things are constantly breaking and falling apart and needing to be replaced. It's just the reality of it. Your home is rattling down the road every time you go to a new location. And honestly, after 6 years of being on the road, Garner and I just laugh about it. When something else breaks, we just kind of chuckle and go, all right, something else is broken. And you have to have a good sense of humor about it because otherwise it will destroy your love for this life. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is the reality. Maintenance is a constant struggle, but I still would not give up this life for anything. Now I'm going to answer the 4 most common questions that I'm asked, and each of these questions could be expanded into their own entire video, which they will be in my RVing for Beginners series. So make sure you click subscribe if you're interested in learning more about these. The first question is about internet. How do we get internet? This is a much easier question to answer now than it was in 2019. Back when we were doing this full-time for 5.5 years, we had Verizon jetpacks, and we each had one, and they were 150 gig each, and we blew through that gig really fast. The answer to that question is so much easier now, and it's one word: Starlink. I can't say enough amazing things about Starlink. We just got it for this trip, and we are loving it. I know not everybody does. I have not met a single RVer that doesn't love it. But if you're looking at internet, highly, highly recommend investing in Starlink. And I do have a link in the description below that gets you 1 month free of Starlink. So if you're interested in having really good, solid, reliable internet just about anywhere in the US, Starlink. That's all I'm gonna say, is Starlink. The next question is one that I don't know why people really care about anymore, but I'm gonna answer it, and it's really not an overcomplicated answer. But the question is, where do we get our mail? The only mail that I get nowadays is credit card offers, real estate offers, and junk, and then some more junk. Sometimes, you know, of course, there's birthday cards and Christmas cards and things like that. But for the most part, mail is really not that important anymore. We pay all of our bills online, but here's my tip for you, and it's super important to know this. Do not get a P.O. box. I highly recommend not going to a USPS or a UPS and getting a P.O. box. For one thing, USPS and UPS are like crazy busy places, and they kind of don't care about you. You're basically just a box to them, and you're not going to be able to get any kind of personalized service through them. So I highly recommend that you find in wherever your hometown is, getting a mailbox at a private mailbox place. I think it's like $195 a year for us to have this mailbox. The personalized service from an individual mail place is 1,000 times better than anything you'll get at a UPS or USPS, and also a lot of things can't get delivered to P.O. boxes. I don't think that things like jury duty and taxes can get mailed to P.O. boxes. You can have mail shipped to most RV parks. You can't have them shipped to like state parks. About once a month, I just ask the front desk at the RV park, hey, can we have mail shipped here? And they say absolutely, and then I just have it shipped to whatever RV park we're at. If you take 2 things from this video, 1, maintenance is going to be a part of your reality, and 2, do not get a P.O. box. The next question is health insurance. And to be honest, this is one that I've really struggled with, and we've had a lot of issues with having health insurance while we're on the road. We are both extremely healthy, and so we're lucky with that, and we did have emergency coverage anywhere. But if I just wanted to talk to a doctor or go see a doctor in the town that we're in, I couldn't do that with the insurance that we did have. We have recently switched over to a new health insurance company, and I found them through a site called RV Insurance Benefits. I'll put a link to that in the description below. The person that I talked to was wonderful. I described what our life was like. She fully understood what it being a part-time RVer or a full-time RVer meant, and was able to get us hooked up with an insurance insurance that's going to work no matter where we are. So I highly recommend checking out RV insurance benefits, and you can talk to them and find out something that's going to work for you depending on where your home state is and what medical needs you require. So health insurance is a struggle, but I think I finally found a solution. And the next question is, how do we get prescriptions? We have our prescriptions filled through Costco. We do have a Costco membership, mostly just for the pizza. That's kind of all we care about at Costco. But I do get my prescriptions there, and you can get prescriptions filled at Costco's all across America. And the last thing that you really need to make sure that you're aware of is the mental hurdle. For some people, it is really difficult letting go of stuff. If you have a really big house that you've had for decades, getting rid of stuff can be really hard. I found it very freeing to get rid of stuff, but you definitely need to make sure that you have a plan for downsizing. Don't try to do it all at once. I spent 5 years downsizing, but once I just started getting rid of things, it really did get easier. You are trading material things for freedom and memories, and if that is something that is really important to you, it does get easier to downsize and start getting rid of things. And so just really working on the mental hurdle of it, also being away from family and friends. It's easier now with the technology that we have to stay in touch, but you definitely want to just start mentally preparing yourself for being in this completely different lifestyle that is probably very different from any other lifestyle that you live. My honest truth about whether or not full-time RVing or even part-time RVing like we're doing now is worth it, I cannot find the words to describe how amazing this life is. Now, we were on the road for 5.5 years full-time, and now we've gone part-time, and the reasoning for that was just a little bit of burnout. You do get exhausted constantly moving, and I get that. Garner got it more than I did, but now we compromised and we're on the road for half the year, and that's a perfect compromise for us. And so you might spend maybe a year on the road or 2 years or 10 years on the road and then decide to come off, but just know that it's not if burnout's gonna happen, it's when, and it's okay. Don't let yourself get to the point where burnout ruins your love for where you're at and what you're doing. The first few months are going to be a little bit stressful, but once you get past those, you start getting into a routine, you start understanding how everything works, you start being able to set up and break down your rig faster. It really does become more and more amazing as you get more used to what the lifestyle is all about. All of your comforts will be tested, things will break constantly, plans will be changed quite often, but the RV community is incredible. People show up for each other in ways you don't even expect. And honestly, if it were up to me, I'd still be on the road full time. But having a home base now is pretty amazing, and I do enjoy having a couch where I can actually stretch out, relax, get some knitting done, and not worry about what is going to break next. I hope this video gave you a little bit of a reality check. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything for you. I want to give you my honest take on what this life is like. If you have questions, if there's things you're really wanting to know, put them in the comments below. I will absolutely answer your questions and help you in whatever way I can. And if you want to see how our RV is set up, I do have an RV tour. I'll put the link to that in the description below. Every video I end with some sort of knitting or crochet tip. So if you're a knitter, stick around because I've got a tip for you on knitting the Mossy Ridge hat, which is this one I'm wearing. And if you're thinking about RV life, make sure you click subscribe because that series is coming out soon, and you're gonna wanna make sure you get deep dives into all of the things that I've talked about today and so much more. I'm Krista, and I'm on a quest to check off 1,000 bucket list adventures. Knitters, stick around. Everyone else, thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Bye. In this video, I was wearing the Mossy Ridge hat, and most of my patterns, especially things like hats and cowls, I always put in the notes what the pattern multiple is. So for this particular pattern, it is a multiple of 10, and you can see down in the pattern here, the multiple is a cast on of 110. Now I also make sure that whenever I have that multiple number, that it also is going to work for your crown decreasing. So if you want to make your hat larger, you can cast on 120, 130. If you need to make it smaller, you can cast on 100 or 90. You can use bulkier yarn or thinner yarn. It's totally up to you, but I always do put in my patterns what the multiple is, just so that you can adjust that however you want. This pattern is available on my Patreon page. The link to this pattern is in the description below, and I also do have a collection where you can get all of my hat patterns for one low price, and any new patterns that I add to my collection you get for free. You pay one price and get all of my hat patterns, and so that's a really great option if you want to get all the patterns and not ever pay any more for them. So those links are in the description below. Thanks for watching.